Dun 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 dun. Hi friends, I'm Sarah, one half of the YA room, and today I'm going to be talking all about the books that got me into YA. Now, I know what you're thinking. Shouldn't Harry Potter have been the book that got me into YA? Well, you're wrong. I didn't hear about Harry Potter until I was about 12, and by then the fandom was already on the train, leaving without me. I was like Harry Potter in the Chamber of Secrets, knowing that the Hogwarts Express was going to Hogwarts without me, and I was stuck behind this brick wall, being like, help! But no, nobody could hear me. So I had to hire a flying car and... No, just kidding. This might surprise you, but I wasn't a really big reader in primary school. Sure, I borrowed books from the school library and participated in the Premier's Reading Challenge, which is basically a competition to see how many books you can read. But I always did that because my friends were readers and I wanted to look cool in front of them. But yes, eventually I did get into YA, which is why I'm here surrounded by all the books. Like, who could guess I'm a reader, really? I only really got into YA when I was in 8th grade, and that was because one of my friends kept telling me to read this series, and eventually I said I would, and it changed my life. Now I can look back and like cringe on all of the books I used to love, but they are the books that ultimately made me love YA, and I love them for it. One of the first YA books I ever read was Hush Hush by Becca Fitzpatrick. I used to be in love with this book. It was about a fallen angel who fell in love with this human, and it's really cliched and trite when I think back on it. It was my love for a solid 3 years. I was obsessed with this book. I love you, Hush Hush. Of course, there was another series I read when I was getting into YA, because it was everywhere. They were making movies out of this series, they were all over bookstores, and I thought, must be pretty good, like maybe I should get a copy. And I think you might know this series, maybe you've heard of it. It's The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. I love this series so much, and seeing the movies for the first time, I was crying the whole way through. I'd never really experienced falling in love with a book and then going to see the movie. It was like a whole new world opened up to me. This was my first ever copy of The Hunger Games, and I love it so much. And I still remember buying it at the bookstore where I now work, and just devouring it in the car trip on the way home. It was phenomenal. One of the other books I fell in love with, I'm quite ashamed to admit. It's hard for me to put out into the world how much I used to love this series. This is something that has been weighing me down for years, and I can't hide it anymore. That is that I used to be a massive fangirl for Twilight. Yes, I was one of those tween girls who picked up this book and absolutely fell in love with it. I was reading the fan fiction, I was like having a poster of Edward on my wall, I was seeing the movies a million times, dragging my parents to them. Cringe! I don't know what this book is doing on my shelves still. Maybe I'll reread it one day and laugh at all the stuff I thought used to be romantic when I was 12. Another book that I got recommended to me that really got me into YA was this one, Shatter Me by Tahereh Mafi. Ooh, it's really shiny. There's been quite a lot of news surrounding this series recently because Tahereh Mafi has recently said that she's adding, I think, 3 more books to this series. I picked up this book when I was about 13 or 14 and I fell in love with it. I was obsessed with this series, and I particularly loved how it had the strike-throughs in the sentences. So it'd be like our protagonist was thinking something and then she'd strike it through if it's something that she didn't want to think anymore. It's hard to explain without reading this book, but there was this one particular part, and because of that I was like, I'm gonna love this book. They locked me up with a boy. A boy. Dear God, they're trying to kill me. They've done it on purpose. To torture me. To torment me. To keep me from sleeping through the night ever again. His arms are tattered up, half sleeves to his elbows. His eyebrow is missing a ring that they must have confiscated. Dark blue eyes, dark brown hair, sharp jawline, strong, lean frame. Gorgeous. Strike through. Dangerous. Terrifying. Horrible. My God, this book... Oh my God, I've just fallen back in love with it from reading that one paragraph. Another series that I fell in love with when I was getting into YA was City of Bones by Cassandra Clare. I just loved it. I loved the world building. I loved how it had werewolves and vampires and fairies and shadow hunters and everything I could have wished for. And finally, the last book that got me into YA was Vampire Academy by Rochelle Mead. You've probably heard of this book. It also had a really bad movie adaptation. Don't talk to me about that. That was terrible. Thinking over all the books that got me into YA has made me want to reread them all, which is probably going to be really bad for my TBR, but maybe it'll be worth it. So yeah, those are the books that got me into reading YA. And while I look back on them now and cringe, I know that there was something amazing about them because they got me into this whole bookish world, and without them I probably wouldn't be standing here today, alone in my bedroom, talking to a camera, surrounded by books. The only people I love being characters. Oh my god. Books have ruined my life. Who else would spend hours crying over dead pieces of tree? Who else would go out to bookstores at 7 a.m. in the morning to wait in line for The Cursed Child? Maybe without books I'd actually be productive. Who am I kidding? I'll always be a bookworm and I'm not ashamed to admit it. Well, that's it for today's video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to leave a comment down below. What books got you into reading YA? Have you read any of the ones that I've mentioned? I'd love to know. Bye everyone!